I'm the Immigration and Community Wellbeing Research Lead at Rural Development Institute in Brandon University. And I also work as a project coordinator for Community Futures Investment. Both my study and work background are in rural development, and I also did my Master of Arts in Rural Development at Brandon University. Most of my research work sits at the intersection of community well-being and resilience in rural places. Some of my research at RDI maps directly onto today's theme on the shared prosperity, the pulse of rural Manitoba research, where we built data profiles of 125 rural municipalities across province, which help rural communities to plan their development from the evidence-based and not based on assumption. On the climate action side, I was involved in a research called Adapting Rural Climate Cultures, which explored how local cultures shape climate adaptation decisions in rural Canada. And on economic inclusion, my research on immigrant women entrepreneurs in Brandon, which helped local newcomer serving organizations to align their support services to the actual needs of the newcomer women entrepreneurs. The purpose of all of this research is to put the tools and evidences in the hands of the rural communities so that they can lead their own development by themselves. And that's exactly where the question I've been asked now sits. Rural communities want people to stay and increasingly need newcomers to address labor shortages and population decline. So, how do we build places where both long-term residents and newcomers choose to build their futures together? Retaining people is one of the biggest challenges rural communities are facing. In our Pulse of Rural Manitoba research, we compared rural Manitoba's population with Winnipeg's, and the differences are striking. The rural communities have significantly fewer youth and more seniors. More than one in five rural residents is senior. Youth outmigration and aging population are two of the most significant challenges rural communities face. Youth leave their hometown for education and better opportunities, and without younger generation to carry forward the development, communities decline. When youth move out, school enrollment drops, health services shrink, businesses close down, and this is precisely what these are the gaps the newcomers are filling in. They start businesses, they fill labor shortages, skilled trades, they drive the population growth. And yet, even as rural communities work hard to be more welcoming, real challenges such as lack of infrastructure, housing shortages, limited settlement services, and credential recognition remain as a challenge. Let me offer an analogy. If a visitor is coming to your place, you wouldn't be inviting them empty-handed, right? You would be at least offering tea or coffee for them. And if you don't have those products at your home, you'll be feeling awkward. And what I mean by this is that community's own well-being is what makes genuine welcoming possible. But here's the twist. In rural communities, newcomers are not just guests. They are coming to be part of your community and to build the future alongside everyone else. So how do these two groups of people build a shared future together by respecting each other, by respecting others' values, cultures, and practices? By giving newcomers and also by giving newcomers real opportunities in businesses, in organizations, and in decision making, and people are learning to trust each other as well. And this is how you will be able to uh, build a shared and more welcoming place. And we have good examples here in Manitoba. Nipawa, the places called Nipawa and Gimli are some of like two of these communities where newcomers helped reverse population decline and build something stronger than what was there before. Because when everyone is a co-owner of a community's future, people start looking out for each other, and that's what a place genuinely welcoming. Thank you.
Your research explores artificial intelligence, place-based data, and technological change in rural communities. How can emerging technologies help rural communities improve services, strengthen local economies, and expand opportunities while preserving the unique character and identity of rural life?
Yes, thank you. So I had a privilege of exploring this question through two of my research, as you mentioned, that Pulse of Rural Manitoba and Artificial Intelligence in Rural Governance in Canada. But we can't talk about emerging technologies in rural communities without first acknowledging that there's a digital divide. Many rural communities in Manitoba and probably across Canada still lack reliable high-speed internet. Connectivity is not a side issue, it's the precondition of all of this. If the foundation is missing, the conversation about AI trying to serve. The Pulse of Rural Manitoba research shows what place-based data can do. Instead of national data that mask rural realities, it let rural municipalities see themselves clearly, their demographics, their economic side, their service gaps and strength. When communities have their own data, they can plan their own development by themselves rather than waiting for someone else to come and help them. And the research, rural municipalities have fewer staff. AI can help them to reduce the workload. The chatbots are answering the routine residents' questions, or AI tools that draft meeting minutes and grant applications, the systems that search decades of paper records in seconds are just few of many benefits of digital technology. But beyond governance, telehealth support for rural healthcare, e-commerce opens market nationally and globally for rural communities as well. And even the digital credentialing can help rural youth to upskill their qualifications without moving from their hometown, right? And this directly speaks to the youth out migration. But here's my caution. Technology must serve the community's purposes, not the other way around. Rural communities have their distinct cultures, histories, the way of living. And so the technology should amplify those strengths, not to replace them. So that's what I have found through my study. Thank you.
Shirley, that's great. That's really good information, and I totally agree with you. It shouldn't re it should aid, not replace. So totally. So your work examines how culture influences climate adaptation decisions, right? Why is it important that climate solutions reflect the unique values, experiences, and priorities of individual rural communities rather than applying the same approach everywhere?
Thank you. First, let me stress that climate change is a global problem, but it is also experienced locally. Not many people aware about it, but it happens locally. Even now, Brandon is under state of a local emergency because of the flooding situation. And so how communities respond to it is deeply shaped by the culture, by their worldviews, the values, the stories, and their relationship to the land, as you mentioned, Obi. In the research adapting rural climate cultures project, we found that culture work as a filter for the most of the implementation parts. It shapes what communities sees as relevant, what gets funded, and we found that like they sometimes it's actually those are the things that help them to implement. Like they are the people who are filtering which activities should be get done. So if we design a climate solution without understanding the community's cultural context, we are just not just being insensitive, we are doing solutions that will never be used Here's something that our research found that rarely discussed openly. In the adaptation policy in Canada, in the Canadian adaptation policy, these policies are largely shaped by settler cultures and Western way of knowing. Look at the federal adaptation funding since 2016. It has gone to physical infrastructures. They have received about $4.1 billion. Emergency preparedness, another 700 million. Meanwhile, the health received only 65 million, and regional knowledge capacity received 73 million, a tiny fraction. Where decisions are made. That's why applying same approach everywhere is not effective. Research also found that look very different and practical, and they focus on knowledge sharing, land-based activities, holistic understanding of health that includes social, cultural, spiritual relationship to the land as well. One of the recommendation from our research is that any serious climate adaptation strategies for rural Canada must center around indigenous people and their land-based knowledges, because at the end, climate solutions work best when they grow from within the communities, from their own values, knowledge, and relationship with the land. It's not delivered from outside, right? So the adaptation, like all other development or rural development, work best when communities are leading it. Thank you.
Thanks, Shirley. And I'm sure that includes climate smart agriculture as well.